Aviation accidents are extremely rare, but whenever disaster strikes, the cost is always the lives of hundreds of people within minutes. What's even more terrifying is this: most tragedies could have been avoided if airlines had prioritized safety, not ignored warnings, not cut maintenance, or even falsified inspection procedures. You think only a few obscure carriers get caught in scandals? Think again. On this list are names you've probably trusted and booked with every year. And right now, I'm going to show you 7 airlines that, once you uncover the truth behind them, you might never dare to step onto one of their planes again. 1. American Airlines. The largest airline in the U.S., but also the most scandal-ridden name in the world. With a fleet of over 950 aircraft, American Airlines has long been considered the Sky King of the United States. But behind that massive scale lies a series of ongoing scandals that have made many passengers hesitant to book a ticket. One of the most controversial issues over the years is the quality of technical maintenance. In 2024, the pilots' union APA released a series of internal reports that shocked the public. They discovered that technical checks were increasingly reduced, and scheduled maintenance times were unusually shortened. There was even a case where maintenance staff left a hammer and screwdriver inside the wheel compartment of an A319 just before takeoff. All of this was aimed at speeding up flight turnaround and keeping on-time performance, but it exposed deadly gaps behind the professional facade. But the biggest scandal came from customer service. During Christmas 2024, American Airlines technical systems suddenly suffered a severe failure, causing nearly 900 flights to be delayed or canceled en masse. Passengers were stranded at airports, lacked information, were not adequately served, and were even kept on board for hours on the tarmac, violating tarmac delay regulations and resulting in a $4.1 million fine from the U.S. Department of Transportation. In terms of customer service, American Airlines is frequently ranked among the most complained about airlines in North America. Issues like overbooking, seat class changes without consent, unreasonable extra charges, or slow refund processing happen regularly. Passengers repeatedly report unexplained delays and having to make dozens of phone calls just to get an answer. In fact, in 2017, the NAACP even issued a travel advisory against the airline due to accusations of discrimination against black passengers. Although the airline later promised to improve, the incident seriously damaged its reputation. But that's not all. The next name on the list might shake you even more. 2. Lion Air, the airline that was banned worldwide for many years. If asked to name an airline that represents the phrase cheap but risky, most Southeast Asian passengers would immediately think of Lion Air. On the surface, this is the largest low-cost carrier in Indonesia, with over 100 aircraft covering almost the entire region. But behind those shockingly cheap tickets lies a series of scandals in engineering, operations, and management that would make anyone uneasy. The JT610 crash in 2018 involving a Boeing 737 MAX 8 was just the tip of the iceberg. The investigation later exposed a crumbling operational system, misinstalled AOA sensors, undertrained pilots, sloppy maintenance, and even the fact that a previous flight had encountered the same issue but was still allowed to operate. This was not the first time Lion Air made the world question its aviation safety oversight. In fact, since 2007, Lion Air had been blacklisted by the European Union, banning all operations in EU airspace for nearly a decade. It was not until 2016, after years of inspections and promises of improvement, that the ban was lifted. But even now, Lion Air has never been granted permission for commercial flights to the United States due to failing FAA certification standards. Beyond technical safety, Lion Air's customer service has also drawn harsh criticism. Chronic delays, sudden route changes without notice, last-minute cancellations without proper compensation. All of these have become regular stories on Indonesian social media. Some internal sources once revealed to Indonesian press that the pressure to keep ultra-low ticket prices forced the airline to frequently minimize spending on training, maintenance, and logistics. In many cases, a flight taking off on time was seen as a miracle. And the terrifying truth is, it's not only low-cost airlines that face danger. Even major carriers in the region, with well-structured training systems like Ethiopian Airlines, have not escaped deadly disasters. 3. Ethiopian Airlines. From Africa's pride to a global disappointment. For years, Ethiopian Airlines was hailed as a rare source of pride for African aviation, a modern fleet, a global network, 4-star Skytrax service, and praise from international media as a benchmark for safety in an unstable region. But behind that shining reputation was a string of smoldering dramas that gradually shook the airline's image. The breaking point came on March 10, 2019, with the horrific crash of flight ET-302. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 plunged into the ground just 6 minutes after takeoff, claiming the lives of 157 people. Although the majority of the blame was placed on Boeing's flawed design, the incident dragged Ethiopian Airlines into a global crisis. Afterward, growing doubts emerged about the airline's pilot training, operational capability, and technical maintenance standards. Ethiopian Airlines' problems weren't limited to safety concerns. On the customer service front, the airline was also caught in multiple controversies. Many passengers accused the airline of lacking professionalism and being slow to handle complaints. Lost baggage cases dragged on for months with no response. Calls to the hotline went unanswered, and compensation claims were ignored. Some even had to wait 45 days to recover luggage after an international flight. More seriously, in 2023, Ethiopian Airlines was accused of discriminating against Tigrayan passengers, even refusing to sell tickets to some without any clear explanation. The lack of responsibility was especially evident in cases where elderly passengers were denied boarding due to health reasons, with no support or alternative guidance provided. In addition, the airline was frequently criticized for last-minute schedule changes, long delays without prior notice, and indifferent crew behavior when passengers needed assistance. Some described Ethiopian Airlines as the most disrespectful airline I've ever encountered. Once a symbol of African aviation pride, Ethiopian Airlines is now a name that makes passengers hesitate each time they hold a ticket. But the next name on the list will leave you truly speechless. 4. Air India. Think carefully before you hit book now. The world was recently shaken by a horrifying aviation disaster involving Air India. On June 12, 2025, Flight AI-171 carrying 276 passengers from Dubai to Ahmedabad suddenly lost control just minutes before landing. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner crashed into the outskirts of Ahmedabad, bursting into a massive fireball that engulfed everything. At least 242 people died on the spot. The wreckage shattered, and hundreds of charred bodies left a haunting scene for days afterward. But the horror of AI-171 was not the end. It was just the beginning of a wave of shocking revelations about Air India's safety issues. Only weeks after the crash, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, in India released a disturbing report. At least 3 Airbus A320neo aircraft operated by Air India had been flying regularly without the mandatory safety equipment inspections. One aircraft had overdue life vest checks for 48 hours. More seriously, another aircraft had skipped inspection for over 3 months. According to ICAO and ESA international standards, essential safety items like life vests and oxygen masks must be thoroughly inspected before every flight. But at Air India, many maintenance logs lacked technician signatures. Documents were outdated, and some records even showed signs of forgery to legalize the flights. The DGCA described this as a severe and systemic safety management gap. Further investigations by The Sun and AP News revealed more disturbing facts. Since Tata Group acquired Air India in 2023, the new leadership pursued massive growth while slashing maintenance budgets to cut costs. Technicians were pressured to shorten inspection time, and internal directives reportedly emphasized having clean paperwork over actual inspection quality. As a result, planes continued flying into the sky carrying unresolved risks until the AI-171 disaster exploded like the final drop that overflowed the glass. That ill-fated Boeing 787 Dreamliner, flight AI-171, had a concerning history. In the 6 months prior to the crash, it had recorded at least 4 air conditioning system failures, 3 abnormal cabin pressure sensor alerts, and multiple instances of flashing red electronic warning lights during operation. Yet all these recurring issues were merely noted in the maintenance log without any definitive corrective action. And worryingly, this list is far from over. 5. Air France, an airline haunted by the past and shaken in the present. 0310 AM. The radar signal suddenly disappeared. Flight AF447 carrying 228 people vanished over the Atlantic Ocean, a chilling scene remembered for years. But beyond that tragic memory, Air France is now embroiled in a string of controversies that make passengers hesitant even to look at the check-in screen. Since 2024, Air France has been repeatedly disrupted by continuous strikes involving pilots, flight attendants, and ground staff. During the peak summer season of 2024 alone, hundreds of flights were canceled or severely delayed, leaving tens of thousands of passengers stranded at airports without proper assistance. Although the European Union's EC 261 law requires compensation of up to €600 per passenger, the airline's slow complaint process has disappointed many. Some people waited months just to receive a basic compensation payment. In terms of service, Air France has also faced criticism for unprofessional and dismissive staff attitudes. Many passengers reported being treated rudely and without respect by ground staff. One case involved a customer who booked business class but was downgraded to economy just before departure, with no apology. Only a few meaningless vouchers were offered. The incident in Istanbul in June 2024 caused outrage when hundreds of passengers were delayed nearly 24 hours, forced to sleep on the airport floor without food or medical support. Furthermore, the long-standing issue of lost baggage has fueled ongoing criticism of Air France. In 2024, a Nigerian passenger even took the airline to court after his luggage went missing for 3 weeks, in the middle of a trip to attend a relative's funeral. Additionally, Air France has been repeatedly accused of unreasonable surcharges and overbooking practices. Many passengers said they were asked to pay up to €70 for each checked bag, even though the base ticket price was already higher than other airlines. Several people lost their seats at the last minute because the airline sold more tickets than available seats on the plane. Unfortunately, the list of airlines that require serious thought before booking is not over yet. Next is a carrier once labeled the scariest airline in Asia. 6. China Airlines, one of the most alarming airlines in Asia. After the disturbing files from Europe, many placed their hopes in the safety standards of Asian aviation. But even here, China Airlines, the national carrier of Taiwan, is not much better. China Airlines is often promoted with a professional image and a modern fleet. But behind that polished exterior lies a long series of repeated service failures that steadily erode passenger trust. Lost luggage remains a nightmare for many China Airlines travelers. A passenger flying from New York to Taipei in 2023 recalled his suitcase was mistakenly sent to Europe. He was forced to buy all new clothes and personal items during the 10-day wait. When trying to file a complaint, staff only responded with robotic answers, showing no responsibility and offering no reasonable compensation. Some were even told to locate their own luggage because it's not within the airline's support scope. Beyond baggage service, the airline has repeatedly drawn criticism over unreasonable visa policies. In early 2025 at Los Angeles Airport, a middle-aged passenger was denied boarding because staff misinterpreted Taiwan's transit visa rules. He had to spend nearly $900 on a taxi to switch airlines that same night. When he asked for an explanation, the staff coldly replied, "Your case is not our responsibility." Another incident went viral in 2023 on Japanese social media. A female passenger shouted, demanding that flight attendants speak Japanese. Instead of diffusing the situation or seeking a translator, the crew reacted rigidly and uncooperatively, escalating the tension. Many online users later criticized the crew's stiff attitude and lack of professionalism in handling sensitive situations. 7. Aeroflot, the airline with the deadliest accident record in global aviation history. And the final name on today's list is Aeroflot, Russia's national airline, and also one of the oldest operating carriers in the world, with a history dating back to 1923. But with nearly a century of operations comes a horrifying accident record that no other airline on Earth has ever matched. In 2017, a major scandal erupted when Aeroflot's flight attendant selection policy was exposed. Only young, attractive candidates with ideal body standards were allowed to work on international routes. Over 600 senior flight attendants were quietly removed from international schedules simply for being too old or overweight. Veterans with thousands of flight hours and extensive experience were reassigned to unpopular domestic flights. Many of them sued the airline in Moscow courts. Although Aeroflot lost the case, the compensation awarded was symbolic, just a few hundred USD, and could not make up for the career damage they endured. But the appearance controversy was only the surface. Numerous international passengers described flying with Aeroflot as a stressful experience. Cold attitudes, lack of flexibility, and almost no concept of apology when facing delays or missed connections. In many viral videos, passengers stranded due to flight delays received no food, lodging, or rescheduling support, only cold replies like, "Contact your agent." After Russia was hit with sanctions in 2022, Aeroflot faced a new crisis, a disrupted supply of aircraft parts. Many older planes had to be dismantled to provide spare parts for other operating aircraft. International reports warned, if this cannibalization model continues, Aeroflot's maintenance standards will fall dangerously below global aviation norms. 7 airlines, thousands of lives lost. Horrific disasters spanning generations. From the most renowned names in America, Europe, and Asia, to the death tolls beyond imagination in Russia, all point to one chilling reality. No airline is truly immune to catastrophe. Advanced engineering, smart automation, rigorous training, all of it collapses when just one link in maintenance, oversight, or internal procedure goes unchecked. An accident can strike at any time, without warning. And you, holding a plane ticket bearing a familiar airline logo, have you ever wondered what lies behind that polished symbol? If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss upcoming content. Share your perspective in the comments below. Thank you for staying with us until the end. And remember, everything we share is based on multi-angle analysis and is meant for reference only. Always consult additional trusted sources to form a complete and objective view